Welcome to Medicine with the Metals. I'm Mark, and this is Michelle. Join us on an excursion with our psychedelic journeys.
I'd love to talk a little bit about where we were this weekend. We went up to Vancouver to the Spirit Plant Medicine Conference. I thought it was incredible. What was your favorite part of the weekend?
My favorite part of this weekend was probably Paul Stamets. I guess that's assistant or her name. She was very informative. I mean, I think the audience would love, we need to get more of this stuff out there for these people, and hearing her voice and just where she's at in the space right now is really pretty cool.
Pam, I can't remember what her last name was, but we definitely know we'd love to get her on a podcast and talk with us. Another one that I found super interesting, I mean, of course, Gabor Mate, I love listening to him and what he has to say about addiction and trauma and plant medicines. But the one lady that really caught me by surprise and caught my attention was Acacia Lewis.
Absolutely.
Young and upcoming young lady in this arena. She was incredible. We will definitely be talking with her on Medicine with the Metals.
Yeah, really cool voice. She was talking a lot about just where we are in this space right now, and how we have to kind of position ourselves to maybe do some things we wouldn't have done in the past, and create new spaces and new foundations, which I think that's what we're trying to do.
She was highly focused on psilocybin, which of course we love.
Well, we know that psilocybin, I mean, and the audience mostly know this, that we are really dedicated to the psilocybin. We think that's the Western world medicine, and all these medicines come into play sometimes. That's where we are. They also the plant medicine path, and we speak these medicines because getting these medicines out there and informing our audience about this is very important to us.
Well, we were talking about that earlier at lunch about how, there's different medicines and each one has a place and a purpose. And there's sort of a path to these different medicines. So it was very cool this past weekend to be in Vancouver and be with the main players right now who are in this field, the scientists, the doctors, the forefront leaders of psychedelic, and who picked up that baton and are leading it. So it was very cool to be there.
Yeah, the science is there, and we know that, and we're really setting foundations. This space is really important, and that was a really cool weekend to just get us out there and get to know people and let people know what we're doing.
We're going to be in Wonderland in Miami. Last night, we also signed up for 2 upcoming conferences in the coming year. The one's going to be in May in Las Vegas, PsyCon, and then in Denver next October, PsyCon as well. So we're really going to get out there and talk with people.
Today, we have special guest Stephan Kerby from the UnChurch. Stephan's going to be presenting us with his psychedelic integration course, which is a phenomenal course. I've known Stephan now for about 4 years, and what he's bringing and presenting in this community is awesome. Let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with our special guest, Stephan Kerby from the UnChurch.
Tired of feeling like you're barely holding on? Are you searching online for answers, only to come up with more questions? Looking for ways to feel better and make life more livable? There is a way where you can feel better and take on the world. Transforming your mental health, nourishing both your body and mind. Embark on a journey to lasting happiness and vitality. All powered by the wisdom of Mother Earth.
Today we got a good friend of mine, Kerby. Kerby's been in the space. I met Kerby about 3-4 years ago, one of the probably first people I met in this space, reaching out and trying to connecting. And he's come up with a really cool concept and a really cool training for this space and for integration coaches and people looking for the future of that. So let's introduce Kerby and let him talk about what he's created here, which I think is pretty amazing.
Well, thank you. Obviously, first, thank you for having me. It's been a phenomenal relationship. It's been amazing watching you guys grow and the direction that you're going and the impact that you're making. some of the beauty of this space and the relationships in this space. It's just phenomenal and inspiring. So again, I appreciate you folks having me and doing what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, as you mentioned, my name's Kerby. I'm the founder of the UnChurch Church. We're a DMT church based mostly out of the Midwest, but obviously we travel for folks. I've been doing this for a long time now, and we've gotten to a point where we started putting some thought into this in the sense that, with Michael Pollan's work and a lot of other folks, Mike Tyson coming out, and a lot of these folks that are, mainstream people that are coming out and sharing their healing experiences with entheogens and psychedelics. It's really paving the way for, your average mom and pop, so to speak, your neighbor, folks that would traditionally never consider using these sacraments or medicine to step into the space. So as a facilitator, I've got limited space, I've got limited time and limited energy, and the demand for this type of work is just skyrocketing. And my concern is somebody that's been facilitating, if you've been facilitating or you've been in the facilitation space, you'd probably relate to this deeply, is, after a ceremony, it's very common for somebody that just had a first experience or a second experience or just new to the space in general, having a desire to want to step into the space, and they're looking for a track to do that. And although that is done to me from a place of a big heart and compassion and really trying to make a difference, it could also be dangerous if not done properly, right? And so for us, creating some sort of training protocol for safety seemed to make sense. Because at the end of the day, we came to the conclusion, if folks asked us if they could train with us and we didn't have that capacity, pretty common that about 50 or 60% of them would just go out and figure it out on their own. And when I mean figure it out on their own, mean just blindly trying to learn how to do this. And a lot of folks just think it's the mechanics of serving medicine. It's like the mechanics of it's pretty easy. Like ayahuasca, you pour medicine in a cup. Like the physical act isn't that difficult. That is the smallest portion of the entire work. Same as psilocybin or 5-MeO or any of these sacraments. So my wife's a ketamine-assisted therapist, licensed marriage family therapist, and she's in the psychedelic space, and I'm just in another version of that psychedelic space. But we put our heads together and said we need to create some sort of safety in this space, and also just provide an opportunity for people that are curious, that would like to know more. Because at the end of the day, it's like we don't need more good guides or facilitators in the space. We need more good trauma-informed, safe, well-educated guides and facilitators in the space. So the question is, how do you do that? So we spent a couple years working with my old shaman and a couple other folks and created our first course that rolled out in September of last year was our Certified Trauma-Informed Entheogenic Guide course. And that was designed for anybody from just a compassionate individual who was curious about what being a guide would look like in a trauma-informed manner, all the way up to a therapist and what that would look like for them. And we were blown away with the feedback, the amount of folks that were interested in the class. We filled up the class. A good portion of them were therapists, and the feedback was just phenomenal. So to me, it's an interesting space because, again, you have just your average compassionate person who just maybe have had an experience that thinks that they would like to be in this space. They were looking for more information. And then you have the therapist who, I've said this before to anybody that's listening as a therapist, I'm just convinced in the next 5 years, if you don't understand the psychedelic space on some level, you don't have to be a facilitator, but if you don't understand what's happening in that space, you're going to be a dinosaur. That's just my thoughts on it. So to me, that course also gave them an opportunity to step into it. Yeah. And what we tried to create was a trauma-informed guide program. So it was a 5-week course. It was 3 hours a night. It was live. It was phenomenal. We had 40 participants. We had some other facilitators. We had some guest speakers, and really created a beautiful platform and a space for people to learn this information and have feedback. We completed that course at the end of October, and then the feedback was just through the roof, where we realized that we need to do this again. And so we set up another one for February. But also what we wanted to do was create an integration specialist course. So our two main courses right now that we're just excited for folks to at least consider would be the Certified Trauma-Informed Entheogenic Guide course, which again, that'll be starting again in February. And then the Psychedelic Integration Specialist, right? And the understanding being is a lot of folks went through that trauma-informed guide course. The feedback was phenomenal in the sense that, one, it was designed, just to be honest, as a little bit of a speed bump between the super enthusiastic, overly excited person that maybe just had an experience and wanted to start doing this. It's like, let's slow down. Let's show you what's actually happening in this space, do a little due diligence with you, and then provide you a space to decide if that's what you really want to do. And about 80% of the people that went through the course decided at the end that, like, I need more training. I'm not ready for this space. And that's exactly what we were hoping for, in a good way, right? In the sense that, like, you need to see the seriousness of this space. Just don't step into it casually. And that just really lightened my heart in the sense of excellent. So we know the people that are considering stepping in the space, at least through this curriculum, are going to be more trained and more serious. Now, to get the certification, because our goal is from the certification in the guide course is, I'd like it to be the baseline for anybody looking to step in the space. So if my neighbor says, look, I'm interested in a psychedelic experience, and somebody says, hey, I can do that for you, I would like the thought to be, hey, are you certified in any way, or you have any training in this? And if the answer is no, I'd like them to step past that person and consider somebody that actually has some training. And the basic training is in trauma. I mean, that word's been tossed around a lot, trauma-informed, but really, trauma-informed would be recognition of trauma, that everybody that is essentially stepping in the space may have a history of psychological, emotional, or physical trauma. So everything you say, how you carry yourself, how you proceed is going to impact that. It's about safety and trust. Again, something small. Are you meeting these folks before they show up into the space? Have you created a set and setting prior to the actual set and setting so they come in feeling safe? Have you talked about informed consent? Like all these things, empowerment and choice, even the word you use, like everything should be an invitation versus this is what you're going to do. So these are things that even most facilitators haven't put a lot of thought into. So again, having this overview of trauma-informed care over top of the guide course just made all the sense in the world. And then again, we also, to get the certification, we encourage folks to do 15 personal journeys. And Mark, you and I were talking about that before we got on the screen. 15 personal journeys in CPR and first aid. I'm shocked how many facilitators don't have first aid and CPR. Not to judge them. Maybe there's a little judgment here. You should. It's an easy thing to get. And if I'm stepping into your space and you don't have those qualifications, I wouldn't be comfortable. That's just me, but I'm a little bit of a safety nut. But that seems like a very low level safety protocol of having your first aid and CPR, which you should probably have anyway, right? And then these 15 personal journeys. It's not about necessarily just taking medicine. It's the path of taking the medicines and working with the medicines and evolving, kind of what we talked about. I mean, I shared in the guide class all the egoic challenges I have that most facilitators would deny because they feel they have to be seen as this perfect person. I have ego. I see things. I get jealous, right? I get tricked. All these things still happen, but the level of it has changed significantly in my awareness of it and my separation from it through these personal journeys. And I think at the end of the day, if you're creating guides and facilitators, what you're really trying to do is create good, conscious, egoic aware humans, right, that have this the ability to keep people safe in the space. So to wrap up, those are our two courses: a certified trauma-informed entheogenic guide course, again, starting in February, which is just the coolest class. It's a live class, so you get to meet your classmates. We have a signal group set up, and now you have a community of people to continue to go for or go to in need. And then the one coming up in January is the psychedelic integration specialist, which I just think is key. Because a lot of folks may go through guide work and be interested in guide work, and some of the therapists determined maybe that's for me, maybe that's not, but integration is for sure for me, right? So again, having both those options seems the right fit. So the psychedelic integration, we tried to price that at a point where it's affordable to everybody. We've set it up where there's payment plans available, we've scholarship people. This isn't a money grab. Obviously, we want to get compensated for the time and energy that we put into it, but we've underpriced every program out there, but tried to create better programs. So we need more people in this space, and we're not going to do that charging them $7 to $10 grand to come to a training. That just seems outrageous for where we're at. So again, we've created two foundational fundamental programs that I think that anybody listening could get a lot of value from and would probably really enjoy being a part of that. There's my long-winded 15-minute answer.
It's just beautiful work. I mean, there's so many things we can talk about here, like the trauma. Everybody comes to this in trauma. I mean, and then the biggest thing is, like, when people come off these journeys, you nailed it. Everybody wants to heal somebody. First we have to heal ourselves. I mean, that's the first thing. And that takes time. There's no easy path to this. I mean, being on this path almost 4 years, I still, like you say, struggles. But, I think you nailed it by having these informed coaches that recognize their egos, because, I always say these medicines aren't a quick fix. They just cause awareness that makes you more aware of your traumas. That's all it's doing.
Yes.
And the only thing I can really think about out there right now is being true to you.
Yes.
I mean, there's not too many other, and this space is just catapulting, and it's going past a lot of these things where nobody's setting foundations. So, I mean, foundations are really important in this space, and you're setting a foundation, and you're not just doing it with. What I loved about this, you're not just taking one piece of psychedelic integration, you're training all kind of aspects, like because all these medicines are different. So you're doing a 5-MeO, you're doing a psilocybin. I don't know what else I didn't really know it that much, but I don't know if there's any other medicines included. But that is so important because all these medicines are different, and how we approach these medicines are different. I mean, we're learning so much in this space that, science already knows. We have our maps out there. We have all these other places out there that we can go to. But I think, like me and you, Kerby, see this in a different way. We see this as, I don't ever want to see this put in a bottle or a pill form. I want to see this as they've done it for eons. That's the way we heal. We don't heal by taking a pill every day, even though, microdosing is a different aspect when it comes to that. But just these big, huge journeys when, you're going to shake that snow globe up and integrate that shit, I mean, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And, there's not too many things out there. There's not too many training classes out there right now that what you're creating, and they're thorough. They're not 3-hour shaman course, get it online. You see these shit all over the place. You got some ethics behind you. And that's what I think is really important part of this. So it's really cool.
I appreciate it. Yeah, the goal is, again, it's, we've got our reputation for being, trauma informed in the space. We're not going to let people get through our program. So to get the certification, we do exit interviews with everybody. And if they're just not appropriate or we don't feel comfortable within the space, they're not going to get the certification. It's no more complicated than that. Because we're trying to create a safer space. This is about safety, not about pumping people through a system. And so there is a lot of other groups out there that are doing it, and I know some of them do a phenomenal job. We're just trying to do also a phenomenal job, but again, price it in a way that is accessible to more people, but also like really expand the scope of what we're trying to offer here. But you brought up two important pieces. One is the experience for the first folks as they go through this ceremony, right? From an integration standpoint. So folks will go through a journey. They'll have this intellectual information that's brought to them, right? You need to be more present. Something simple that we all know about anyway. So they're in the space, they get this intellectual information. I need to be more present. The analogy I always use is like, that's just the intellectual piece that needs to be implemented, right? And so it's like I play professional basketball, so I can spend the next hour talking about how to shoot free throws. I could do a PowerPoint presentation. I could talk about aerodynamics, the rotation of the ball. You can have all the intellectual information on how to shoot a free throw. Can you shoot a free throw? If you've never shot one, you're going to go out there and still be terrible at it. That's the integration, and that's taking this intellectual information that you received and implementing it into a way that it's now impactful to you. So folks have this upfront experience of like love and light, and this was amazing. I want to do this for others. You haven't even integrated that experience on any level yet. Right. And that's beautiful that you want to be beneficial to people. I think that's awesome. Let's just really think about how we want to do that. So the first question we ask them in the guide course, which is one of my favorite questions to ask people now, is why do you want to facilitate? Why do you want to be a guide? And you can't use the answer, it's because I want to help people. So we're going to take that off the table. What would be your next answer? And it's nothing but blank faces. right? And it's like, well, I do want to help people. Well, go to the homeless shelter and pass out blankets, right? Go to the soup kitchen, hand out food. There's a million ways you could help people. So why do you want to help people specifically this way? Sit with that. And it's okay to say, I think it's interesting. I think it's kind of cool, whatever. But that's the first step into your ego and really discovering who you are, why you are, what you want to do, and then how to step into that space. That's one of the most important pieces, again, as we talked on this.
We have these powerful experiences, and we come off this, especially new on the path. I see this more new for newer people. When we get on this medicine more and more, we do it. We just know after a while. But these newer people, you've been so stuck in this space for so long, and you're finally seeing some light. And, the first thing we want to gravitate to is the outside world. Look at me now. Look at me. Like, I remember my first ayahuasca, I was telling the grocery store clerks, you got to go do ayahuasca. It's just like crazy. But, that's just kind of like where we're at. And we just go through these phases on this path. And it's something that's important. I think what's important too is you mentioned something like 5 years from now, how this is going to be. If you're not understanding these psychedelics, you are going to be left behind. And I think that's a big fear, not a fear and also a fear right now. I think a lot of therapists in this space are ready to make that jump. They're ready. They're like, screw my license. I'm ready. This is coming. This is happening. And I think the more we see that is going to really excel this even further. And we need to train those people. Those people have never had a psychedelic experience. They just see the benefits from it. So those are probably going to be the most difficult ones I foresee in the future, because they already think they know, but really you don't know until you know.
That's a great point. I was absolutely, I was concerned, to be honest. It was our first class. I was like, let's see how the therapists play this out. It was phenomenal. I give them credit because they learned, again, they don't understand what's happening in the space. So everybody has preconceived notions, but as they started going through it, you can see the wheels spinning, right? And at the end of the day, it's like they're in an altered state of consciousness. That's not necessarily, they're not trained in how to work therapy with folks in an altered state of conscious. It's a completely different therapeutic modality, so to speak. It's its own training. So I was actually impressed with how many did step into space, but I did have some others that I was hoping would step into space, but I could feel like this little egoic thing of, and that's been the neat part of this, even putting it out to some other friends that I thought would really benefit from this training. But I could see folks thinking, well, if I do this, then it's going to seem like I don't know everything. Mark, if you do a facilitation training that I think I can learn from, I'm signing up, baby. Like, I have no lock on ideas. I have no delusion to think that I know everything. I'm always curious. Mm-hmm. So I was impressed with a few facilitators that did step in, high-level facilitators. I'm like, you could have taught the class, but they came in and they got a lot out of it. So I think for any therapists that are listening, I think this could be a huge opportunity really to just understand, again, this space. And as you know more about it, it's going to give you that insight and that information to help you do some due diligence to, like what you said, do I want to risk my license? Does that make sense? What does this look like? So you'll have some opportunities to really make that call. And some decided, yes, I'm willing to move forward with this. And others were like, I think there's a different path for me, right? That's okay. But it's just getting that information. Yeah. And I guess just for the case of this conversation, a lot of folks ask, well, the words like guide, facilitator, all that, are they interchangeable? And for me, I've just created levels, and people don't have to agree with this. This is just how the verbiage I use. To me, you have a trip sitter, which is just somebody that showed up to help out, right? Like, hey, man, I don't really know. Can you sit with me while I do some psilocybin? Sure, there's your trip sitter. The next up would be your guide. The guide has some level of understanding, and that's the first foundation. Can you create the space? Can you set up the space? Can you create it safely? Can you keep them safe in the space? Do you have some level of trauma-informed care where the words that you're using, you understand reflective listening, right? You're not trying to put yourself into the experience. You can do that. The next level would be a facilitator, and I think the difference between a facilitator and a guide is a facilitator has a relationship with their medicine, a deep relationship with their medicine. So it's okay just to be a guide, right? So you just maybe serve these items on occasion, you keep it at certain doses, but a facilitator would be the next level. And I think that's somebody that, if you said, Stephan, do you consider yourself a facilitator? Yeah, 5-MeO DMT, I can facilitate that experience because I'm very comfortable with that relationship with that medicine and the other medicines. Other medicines, I'd say I can just be a guide on that. I don't have the relationship with it. I understand it. I know the protocols. I can keep you safe, but I don't have the same experience I would with these other medicines. So that would be a guide. So to me, I think that's kind of an important distinguishing. Yeah.
Yeah, you nailed how much. I'm going to talk about a few things here. So you nailed so much of how we want our psilocybin church to go. I mean, like we have our guides in place. So they go and they sit with the people. They already understand it. And then after those journeys, after they're finished with their experience, now we send them off. That's so horrible to say send them off. But we facilitate them to a therapist, a psychedelic integration coach. Because, in this space, we all don't need to be coaches. We all don't need to be facilitators. I mean, this space is going to be huge. You could be an accountant. You could be an assistant. There's so many things. I mean, we're creating a space right now. We're creating a space. I mean, so don't always think, well, I found this, I got to go. The medicine is this much, man. It's so small. It's unbelievable how small a portion it is. So it is the catalyst to a lot of things, but it's the smallest portion. So can you run us through, because I think psilocybin is going to be like, for the States, I think it's the future of medicine. I think everybody's going to jump on psilocybin at least once or twice. They're going to try it. So tell us a little bit about how your psilocybin training goes. What does it all look like? What does somebody do? How much does it cost? So on and so forth.
Yeah, just so again, from a curriculum standpoint, again, what we've talked about so far is a certified trauma and theogenic guide course. So there's just an overarching curriculum on what that all means. And in that class, we do talk about all the common psychedelics, MDMA, psilocybin, 5-MeO, et cetera. So we go into the depth of that as far as like what's the dosing.
How long is that course? How long is that?
It's 5 weeks. It's about 20 hours. So it's about 5 weeks. And that's just a live course. It's a ton of curriculum. If you did all the curriculum, it's probably a 40-hour course, right? And it comes with the guide manual, which is this baby, which is basically a book on how to guide a facility from the showing up or when the first call comes. So somebody calls and said, hey, I'm interested in you potentially helping me, to past integration. What is every step of that? That's part of what you get is this guidebook, and it's everything you would really need. The class is just gravy on top of it as far as I'm concerned, but those live interactions are important. But in that we talk about all the major psychedelics, all the major entheogens. But again, that's not enough to really take people into a deep dive into each of the individual ones. So what we created on top of that were what we call these master classes. So the master classes are specifically about each of those sacraments. So we have one on psilocybin, which we've talked about, which I'd love you guys to potentially be, add to some of the information there. That same thing is probably a 10 to 15 hour course, goes through the pharmacology, to the history, to the contraindications, to dosing protocols. And then we do an hour-long conversation with the facilitator. So there is pretty much all the information you would need to safely understand that medicine. So we've done it with psilocybin, MDMA, 5-MeO DMT, ketamine, and I think that's it right now. We're working on we've got an Iboga shaman literally in our house right now that we're working on the Iboga and Ibogaine master class. So folks can hop in there and take one of those master classes. Yeah, he just
I really feel that right there, that medicine. Like not too many people are talking about that one, but one of my great friends in the space is Mark Howard, who has Iboga Soul, who also did the documentary Dosed. So, really that medicine is something special. So everybody fears it, but I'm going to tell you, for all the medicines I've ever done, I think that was the one that, it took my nervous system and just re-fucking set that thing. And I never even believed. To this day, I feel that medicine, and it's been a while. So something I think that medicine's really going to bring out, it can help so many things. Like, I don't know, 85% success rate with opioid addiction. That is Ibogaine more so than Iboga, but there's just a lot to that medicine, and people shouldn't fear that medicine at all. People need to respect that. That is That's going to be a cure in the future. There's something about
For
that.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's one that's underutilized. I'm totally with you. There's a few that I'm like, we are missing the boat here, people. That one is underutilized for the treatments that we're talking about. So I'm a fan of that. So same thing, master class on that. We're working on one for hot pace. And so basically all the medicines that folks would have an interest in. The classes are pretty cost effective, anywhere from $150 to $300. Depending on the course. We offer folks a money back guarantee because we trust people in this space. If you take a course and you're like, that was not what I wanted, write us. This isn't a money grab, but so far, everybody that's taken it, we've got 5-star reviews from everybody. I'm sure that will change. You can't please everybody, and that's not the goal, but the goal is just continue to create high-level curriculum by bringing in the top experts in the field, getting their opinion, getting their research, and putting in a package and in a curriculum package that's professional looking and easy to utilize and easy to function. And again, I think we've done that. So when you sign up for the live courses, even, you've got your curriculum that you can start going through at any time with all the information you, and then we're having these live courses on top of it. So yeah, we're really excited about what we've offered, and we're really excited about all the feedback, and we feel like we're on the right path.
Well, we're definitely going to get it out there. I know for sure, me and Michelle talked. I think I know we're going to have all our facilitators go through that course, at least the psilocybin course, because I think it's important. Even to sit with people, it's important because, I learned some stuff at the Spirit and Plant Medicine this weekend, and a lot of things we're following. And I think, there's a new brew of people coming. There's a new, younger, I guess, crowd, you could say, the Dennis McKennas and those people that really brought the attention to this medicine are kind of phasing out. I wouldn't say phasing out. Their word is important, but we have a new revolution here, and people see it. And we need foundations set. We need information. We need education, and we need safety. Safety is really important. People are coming to this, like, most of them, people are coming to this as their last resort. And, to put them in a safe environment is like the worst thing we can do. So I see a lot of great things to what you're doing.
I appreciate it. Yeah. And you nailed it. It's like what we feel is safe is different than what other people feel is safe, right? And that's this
are different. Like somebody's trauma of getting molested when they were 5 could be the same trauma as a kid getting tripped by a bully in 7th grade. We label things too much.
And what I found in my trauma training was some of the things that I thought were accurate or right were actually not accurate and right. So even though we're moving forward with the best intentions sometimes, that old expression, like the road to hell is paved with the good intentions, it's the truth. And so what I see pretty common is I step in to co-facilitate other programs or work with some other folks. It's very common that I, download with them afterwards and just try to give them just for what it's worth. I don't have advice and I don't tell people what they should do. But little simple things that people don't think about, like if I'm in the space as a facilitator, the reality is we're just viewed in a different light in that space. We shouldn't be, it just is. It's probably no different than the way I viewed my pastor at church, right? You see them in this elevated position. There's some respect there. There's something there. I don't know what the right word is, but there's something there that maybe shouldn't be there. And I think a good facilitator understands that, doesn't take advantage of that, actually downplays that. But words that come out of our mouth
really important. That's really important, Kirby. I mean, you just said that. That is so important because I think we all do it on this path. I think we all look up to these people that are just like us because they got us through something. They got us through a rough. How did that guy do that? How did he, man? And then we start looking. And then when we get on this path more, we see, well, I don't want to downplay this either, but we see they're the same as us. They're as broken as we are. I don't like these words I use, but they're just, we start to see this. We start to realize that we are the only healer of ourselves.
That's it. And the big chunk of these programs are just that. Just my experience. I'm just going to be perfectly blank. I'm sorry if this offends anybody. You nailed it. What happens is we facilitate, people see us, people see that we're getting attention and love, But for me, it's like, I can't stop that. I can minimize it, but I'm not taking that to heart. Like, I don't think that I'm special from it. But if you're just viewing that and you're sitting with some level of trauma, or you feel alone or isolated or unrespected or not, you see that and you want that. Is what's happening in the space, to be perfectly honest. And people think I could quickly move into that and then get all these things I've been missing. I don't think it's a cognitive thought that they're thinking this is what it is, but on a subconscious level, they could almost get immediate access to attention, and people care. You know what I mean? So that's a very attractive lure to people. And I think some of the facilitators that we're seeing, they're playing into that because they are building themselves up. And I'm trying to break myself down. It's like, I don't use the title shaman, or I don't use any of these big words. I'm okay with people that do, but to me, anything that's creating separation between me and the participant, where there's any level of specialness, is impacting that journey. It's like, that's why I like this concept of wounded healer. Like, we are both in this together. Yep. And I think of the analogy, my family is indigenous. So if I was, with my tribe, so to speak, and I was the medicine man, nobody cares. You're just the medicine man. Nobody sees it as this elevated position. But here in this culture, we're like, oh. So people think I can give myself a cool name. I'm a shaman. I'm Shaman Amanda, right? Whatever name you want to give yourself, whatever cool outfit, you get enough beads, brother. Like, do you have this look so you can get these things that you want? And then you're in a position of spiritual bypassing. I mean it all the time. Like, now you think you have to be love and light all the time, and you're not. And it's like, this is dangerous.
Me and you think so alike. It's unbelievable, because you nailed it. The love and light, the shaman. I mean, shamans to me, like, that's lineage and lineages that, even in the beginning, I was uncomfortable by calling people shamans, because I think it's disrespect, actually. It's almost disrespectful. So I love this space.
It's a label that we know is associated with specialness, right? Yeah. And it's like, I got friends, it's like, I'm a shaman. How? Well, I'm training with somebody online. You're an online, like, I call them like Zoom shamans. You're a Zoom shaman then. So you're learning to be a shaman. It's like, why? Because you want that title. You want to be seen in a special way. And to me, the ones that are legit, you know it. Yeah. Like, when you're in the space with somebody legit, somebody that's energetically dialed in, that's egoic liberated, right? Like, that person. I don't need any title for them. I'm like, that is the person. And to me, that's the goal. You should be able to show up with no special outfit on, and within a very short period of time, people know what they're in the space with, right? And that's the game. But that's why, again, this type of coursework is important. And again, and I mean this with compassion for people. They have those experiences. They want to be a part of it. Analogy I use is like, they went to a movie, they saw an amazing movie, like, that was an amazing movie, it moved me, it stirred me. I want to do these movies. Well, you weren't behind the scenes of the production of that movie. You don't know that 2 stuntmen died in the creation of that movie. You don't know that it was over budget. You just were in that experience, and all you see is the beauty of it. You don't know all the other sides of it. And that's why it's important for them to go through these types of curriculum to see that it isn't always that. I mean, I've been facilitating for a long time. I could share hours of horror stories with people of like, it's all love and light till it's not. It's all fun and special until you're saving somebody, right? Do you want to do that? Do you want that responsibility? Do you want people coming to you saying, I'm literally suicidal right now, can you help me? And you have the thought like, maybe I can, maybe it's going to make it worse. We don't always know that. There's heavy responsibilities with this role too, right? So folks don't see that. They're only seeing the love and the light and the positive, and there's a subconscious part of themselves that see it like, I could be something. It's like, you already are something, and it's perfect.
Absolutely.
Keep on working.
That's take work. Let's just tell you like it is. It takes a lot of work. There is no quick fix to any of this. So I could tell you this though, for plant medicine wise, it's the only fix that I found, the only thing that's going to shake that snow globe up again and make me think more rationally and more aware. So I love what you're doing. We're probably going to end this little conversation right now, but you can find these courses on our website at the Plant Medicine Path through our group. We have it through our link tree and these links, and anybody out there that's really looking to navigate their way onto this path, get informed, get educated, lose the ego, and just we're all here together. So these are things that are really important to create foundations for the future, because we're there. There's nothing stopping this. There's nothing stopping us. We'll continue to keep doing this because we know it works. We know these medicines work, and we need more things. We need more courses and more education and more information out there so people have it. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll just say one thing in closing. Again, anybody that's listening that has any interest, please check it out. Thank you guys for what you're doing. Thank you guys having us on. The goal is, again, if somebody's interested in being in the space on any level, that they have some level of training. And the goal is to get to a point where it's you and another person that are both interested, and it's like one has training, the other doesn't. I want the one that has training to feel more confident, more bold, that they have this high level training, that they could actually step in the space and create safer spaces for people. So we're hoping more and more people sign up. The more and more people that get involved and do this, the more and more people that should have the training will feel a little bit of pressure that they should get some level of training. It doesn't have to be our training, but get some level of training. We've just tried to create something that's, again, cost effective and, at a level for everybody. So hopefully folks take advantage of that. But I appreciate what you guys are doing, and I appreciate you giving me some time to share the message.
Nope, thank you. Find these courses on the Plant Medicine Path, plantmedicinepath.com, Plant Medicine Path group, Medicine with the Metals, and Mama Dose for all your psychedelic needs. Have a great day, Kerby.
Thanks, sir.
What a great show today with Stephan Kerby. Michelle, I mean, so much information there for our audience and our people. So many people are interested in this psychedelic and integration training. It's so needed right now.
Well, it is. I'm very much looking forward to listening to this podcast and hearing this conversation, especially for our own church and our facilitators who need to get certified. So what a beautiful offering and such an important contribution to this community right now.
Yeah, I think it's really important for more and more people to have this trauma certified training. We all can't be facilitators and just run out there after we drink the medicine. We have to have some sort of training and some sort of safety in this space to keep it going. And Kerby offered a great example of that in today's episode.
Well, I'm really looking forward to listening to it, and I know that our audience is as well.
So what's next for us on this journey, Michelle?
Well, we've got a busy schedule ahead. This coming weekend, we're going to be in Miami at Wonderland. We're going to be meeting and greeting and networking there, meeting a bunch more people in this space. Last night, we also signed up for PsyCon in Las Vegas. That's going to be May 10th and 11th, I believe. The Plant Medicine Path will be there, as well as PsyCon in Denver in October, as well as lots more in between, but those for sure.
Getting that information and education out there for our audience is what we're all about.
It's important. We're out there to get the word, and that's what we're doing. We're going to have another great interview next week. Please come find us. In the meantime, this weekend, we're going to be at Wonderland in Miami all day on Saturday. You can also find us at theplantmedicinepath.com, mamadose.com, churchofthesacredplants.com, and as always, you can listen to us at Medicine with the Metals.